Okay, Judy, it is so good to speak with you. How are you doing today?
Hey, doing great. It's fun to meet another skate fan.
Yes, it was so very fun to meet you. Thank you again for agreeing to do this. I have been such a fan of your channels, especially actually I found you on AA Legal Focus. I loved your work on that channel, and I know you're a lawyer, you're a skater, you're a traveler, and so I'm just really honored to be able to do a recap with you today for the men's and women's events. I'm sorry, I'm not hearing it.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I had myself
Oh,
muted. Yeah, it's very rare to find someone who cares about legal topics and true crime, but also has an interest in figure skating. So it's great to meet you.
you as well. You as well. Well, yeah. So today, like I said, we're going to talk about the men's and women's. I thought we could start just by talking about Boston in general. I mean, we both traveled there. Had you visited Boston before? Like, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, I've been there probably a handful of times because I have cousins who live there, and my older sister went to Tufts and then she
Hmm.
transferred to Brown. So I visited her there several times, went to her graduation. We'd always go to Boston. And the last time I was there was for 2016 Worlds, which was it was sort of fun, but it was a totally different experience because I had such crappy seats and
Yeah.
I was in the worst seats, like way up on the balcony. It was terrible. So it was almost not worth it. If you want to go, you got to get good seats.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I agree. I think, I kind of had, I had a gamut of different seats for the men's short program. I was like right in the front. That was really fun. I just had some photographers in front of me, but, for the women's, I had horrible seats for the long program. And we actually had to
Oh,
move at one point. I think I was sitting like where they reserve for skaters. I don't know. But, once we switched, it was very good. And I agree with you. It's good to try different things and have a good view. What did you think of the city? Did you spend any time kind of going around or?
um, just a little bit because I didn't get in until Thursday.
Mhm.
So mainly Thursday was getting used to the hotel and meeting with one of my old friends who moved to Boston. So we had really great pizza in Little Italy at a place called
Yes.
Ducali's. Yeah, so that was fun. But it was really Friday when we did some duck tour, science museum, walked around. We didn't
Yes.
do, I mean, the main focus was the figure skating, though. So that was what I was there for. What about you? Did you do touristy stuff?
Yeah, so initially I was gonna go alone, and if I had, I probably would have gotten like the all event pass and gone to every competition and the practices and really been like a full journalist. But I actually went with my spouse, and so we turned it into kind of a vacation too. So I only went to three events, and actually I kind of am glad I did that. We went to Harvard, we tried multiple lobster rolls, we went to Little Italy like you. I actually saw, I forget her name, but she's one of the coaches who works with Raphael Artunian. She was there too, and that was kind of cool to see. And we walked the city, and then we spent a few days in New York afterwards. So I think Boston, I can tell, is a really good host city. You can tell they really love sports, and I really kind of got into the frenzy, so to speak, in the arena, which I know we can kind of talk about too as we go through the skaters. So yeah, really, really fun. And I could tell why they were picked as a host city.
Yeah, you could tell that the fans were so appreciative and very knowledgeable. So I would love to have Boston host nationals and more skating
Mhm.
competitions because, I mean, it was so easy to take the plane there. I had a direct flight, and taking the T is pretty convenient and not expensive. So, I just think the whole layout was really perfect. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
agree. Well,
Mhm.
maybe if you want, let's go ahead and we'll start with the women's event. We can get right on into it.
Okay,
And
sure.
Judy, in first place, winning gold the first time in almost 20 years for the US, we had Alyssa Liu. Judy, what was your reaction? I think we were both in the
Yeah.
arena when she won. What did
Mhm.
you think?
Yeah, I was so surprised because, I did not predict at all that she would be the ultimate winner of the whole thing, because it seemed like she was just building back up, since she took 2 years off from the sport. And it's just amazing because I saw an article where her coach even said there have been plenty of people who tried to make a comeback in the past, but none of them succeeded in terms of, winning stuff or getting better. But Alyssa did it. I was so surprised and so happy for her. Yeah.
Yeah,
How did you feel?
same here. It's crazy because she was the only American woman not to get on the podium at Four Continents. And I was surprised by that. And I think even Alyssa was surprised she won. And I watched another interview too. I've been kind of geeking out on her interviews. And she was saying that, this is a build back season for her. That's how she looked at it herself. But she said that she did the best program of her life here in the long program, and truly, I saw a comment online. Someone said that it's like it was her destiny almost. And I don't know if I believe in all that, but I do think, if you quit skating, and I saw her at Nationals in 2018 when it was in San Jose. And just to see her journey, I'm just, I don't know her, but I'm just so proud of her. And, I really bought into the frenzy. I was like screaming. If I watch back my videos, I was screaming. My spouse was so excited.
That's
It was
funny.
just, yeah. I like
Uh-huh.
lost my voice a little bit, so um I don't know. It felt like being, what it felt like? It felt like the what is the top sporting competition for football? See, I don't even know. The Super Bowl. It felt like the Super
Yeah,
Bowl
the
of figure
Super Bowl.
skating.
Do we care about the Super Bowl? I sure don't.
No, no.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, such a defining moment. And one thing I wanted to ask you, because you actually do ice skate, correct?
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you. So a lot of people were saying, "Oh, well, she wasn't called on her under rotations." But I was looking back. The only thing that looks a little odd to me is I sometimes in between her combination, her blade moves a little bit, but it's after she's already landed on the ice. So I don't think there's an
Oh.
actual under rotation. It just sort of looks like that. But I was just curious your thoughts as an actual skater.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't notice any under rotations, but I haven't
Yeah,
gone back with a fine-tooth comb to
right.
nitpick. But I know that's what people had been saying since last fall, saying that she looked sluggish out there. She looked like she was losing stamina. She needs to, work on
Hmm.
her, you know, jump landing. She was like barely landing her jumps, things like that. But sure, that was last fall. She's clearly worked
Right.
very hard to get to the results now. So good for
Yes.
her. Yeah. And
Agreed.
can I just kind of like throw in my own personal connection
Yeah.
to Alyssa? Yeah. So when I heard that her father is an immigration attorney, of course I had to go Google him. And so it turns out he and I were both at Hastings Law School in San Francisco at the same time, which is fall of '95. And
Oh my
so
goodness.
I, yeah, I didn't know her father, but I contacted one of my friends that I'm still in touch with, and he said, "Oh yeah, I knew Arthur. He was nice, and you know, they don't keep in touch or anything." But I told my friend, "Hey, his daughter is really good at skating, and she's won the national championships before and stuff." So, um,
Oh,
another connection is that long time ago when I was done with college at Berkeley and I dropped out of Hastings Law School, I was constantly skating at this same rink in Oakland, which is where Alyssa trains.
right.
And her first coach, or her previous coach, Laura Lepetsky, was also skating there back then. So I was
Oh,
constantly dodging Laura's triple flips because Laura was like totally competitive. She was like at the top of her game, and she'd be zooming around out there, even on public sessions, doing her triple jumps and stuff. So I
oh,
just thought it's so exciting to see Laura on TV back when she was Alyssa's coach. Like, wow,
yeah.
she's made a name for herself. Yeah.
Oh, that
So
is so
those are
cool.
my connections. Yeah.
No, that's like a direct connection. I was thinking about that too this week. I'm like, how much stock has Laura Lepetsky as a coach gone up this week? Just having a former student win. I think that's just huge. And I did see Alyssa also say that her biggest goal for next season is picking two good programs. And I think that is really smart because to me, she had the two best programs across, from short to long for next to maybe like Monet Chiba or like an Isabeau. I think she really had the best packaging. So I think that's a very smart approach for next season, and I can't wait to see what she comes up with. I think it's going to be wonderful.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're just totally privileged to see her through all these years where,
Yes.
I mean, I remember when she won the national championship and, Brady Tennell and was it Mariah had to help her climb up the podium steps. Yeah, that was so cute. Yeah, but she was
Yeah.
so talented and so amazing back when she could do a triple axel and stuff. And to think that, wow, after all these years, she still kept up her athleticism. It's really incredible. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mhm.
absolutely. Well, that leads us into our next performer. In second place, we had Kaori Sakamoto of Japan. She was going for a four-peat for Worlds, but she still landed on the podium here. Judy, what did you think of her performance here?
Yeah. Well, she was another very exciting moment. I mean, normally that type of performance would have won the world championships again. But, I mean, Kaori Sakamoto is so incredible because of her longevity at the top, which is pretty rare for women skaters these days. And I feel like, some people were criticizing her program and stuff, but to me, I thought she had the right kind of music because it really kept the crowd going and everyone's like
Yes.
cheering and happy. Because I really hate it when I see these great skaters skate to terrible, slow, boring, depressing music because it just
Yeah.
brings you down. There's no reason to really jump up in your seat and start cheering and getting excited and stuff. So, what do you
Yeah.
think?
No, I agree with you. When we were watching live, I told my spouse, well, she's the winner because she performed a little earlier. I think she was, can't recall what placement she was in the short program, but it wasn't, I don't even think it was top three. And I looked over at my spouse and said, she's the winner. And then once Alyssa came on, I was like, oh, maybe not. But
Uh,
I agree with you. I think the music really filled the arena. I think it was so fun. It was one of the best performances she gave of the year. And I did read that she had been crying in practices all week. She had been very emotional. So part of me kind of wondered if maybe she kind of felt it slipping away a little bit. And for her to go out and give that performance, I just think she should be so proud of herself. It was fantastic.
yeah, that's right. This past season, she's been beaten over and over again. So it was kind of
Right,
like she was on a downhill trajectory. So she
right.
still showed us why she's world class because, um, especially when you watch her live in person, her speed and her
Oh,
edges, the power
yes.
and the distance she gets on her jumps, it's incredible. So much power.
Agreed, agreed. And I know that she sometimes gets a few under rotations here and there. I've heard that she's not a fast rotator. So the fact that she can land so wonderfully, it's just she's so powerful. I agree with that. Just lovely to watch. So very, very happy for her here.
Yeah,
And
that's
And that leads us to third place, also from Japan. I think the top six were all US or Japan. We have Monet Chiba getting a bronze medal here. I think it's her first time on the world podium. What did you think of her here, Judy?
Oh, well, I thought she was great too, but just watching Kaori and Alyssa right after her, I could see why those two placed higher than her because Monet kind of has this almost juniorish quality about her. Like she still kind of looks like she's 15 or something. And her jumps, everything looks perfect, but it looks kind of smaller. Like the jumps, the distance, the speed, it just looks a little bit less compared to, say, Kaori Sakamoto.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think, just taken like independently, just watching her, it's beautiful skating. But when you kind of have them all back to back, it is kind of apparent that maybe a little bit just lacking in kind of the performance quality. But I know that she was also really nervous here. And I think that kind of showed up. She just felt a little reserved, a little like withdrawn a bit, but still nonetheless giving a much better performance than she had. She was struggling the second half of the season, so I'm just very happy for her that she was able to pull out a podium finish here.
Yeah.
Another another question I wanted to ask you is there's a lot of online chatter that she needs to switch her coach. She is with oh gosh, Mia Hamada, I believe,
Uh,
and I already saw interviews of Monet saying, "Yeah, I might work on a quad toe or a triple axel in the off season." What do you think of that? Do you think she should consider a switch, or is it kind of we're so close to the Olympic season, maybe best not to? Or
yeah, I mean, I don't know why people would say she needs to switch coaches because didn't Hamada just win that Coach of the Year ISU award and she's coached lots of top, world class skaters. So, um, yeah, I don't think it's a great idea to switch coaches right before an Olympic
yeah,
season because coaches typically teach slightly different technique and it can totally throw you off if you're expected to change the way you do anything, jumps or spins. So,
yeah, I
yeah.
I agree. I really hope she just works on just just what she's doing. A lot of people say she has really good skating skills. It's hard for me as a non-skater to really judge that. She does look really fast though. And I think she should just work on getting two great programs and keep doing what she's doing and maybe work on her confidence. But nonetheless, now she's a world medalist, so she should be very proud.
That's right. And she did so much better than Four Continents, which was horrible. But I did
Yeah,
hear that she was really sick that day. So maybe she should have just withdrawn because people who didn't know she was sick probably thought, what's
right,
wrong with her? She's going downhill, but she wasn't. She was just feeling absolutely horrible that day. Yeah.
right,
So I'm
right.
happy for her. Yeah.
Yes. And that brings us to our fourth place finisher. We have Isabeau Levito of the US, last year's silver medalist. She got to come to Worlds with the return to play protocol. What did you think of Isabeau?
Well, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm so happy that she got over her, was it a foot injury or something? She had
Yes.
some sort of injury. Yeah, so this is pretty amazing that she came in fourth in such a competitive field where lots of people skated their best or close to their best. And I'm still surprised that she's able to land her jumps with such a weird technique where she totally like bends almost horizontally
Hmm.
to the ice.
Yeah.
And yeah, because I think it was last April when they had that gold on ice show up in Virginia. I actually drove all the way up there to Leesburg to watch the show. This was at
Oh,
the Ion Arena. Yeah. And so I saw Isabeau do this jump right in front of me. I think it was like maybe a triple flip or a second. Well, it was probably a flip. But either way, she was like lurching forward and slowing down before she
oh
did her
no.
jump. And then she fell. And I was like, how the heck can she even like land her jumps? Because you don't get, you're like wasting lots of energy and slowing down to try to spring up and jump up and rotate and stuff. So, so after seeing her at that show with that terrible technique, I'm just very happy for her that she hasn't lost her jumps. You know,
Yeah.
it's
No,
just
I
doesn't look
completely
secure. Mhm.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I mean, the last time we saw her had been in the fall, and then she went into the Road to 26 trophy last month in Italy. It was kind of an Olympic test event, and she only got like 184 there at that event. So I was kind
Yeah.
of nervous for her here, definitely nervous. I mean, imagine if
Mhm.
she had gone and bombed, people would have been like, see, she shouldn't have been nominated because some people think that Sarah Everhart should have been selected instead, but I think Isabeau really proved herself here, and I believe she's never scored below fourth place at a World. So I mean, she's a consistency queen, and I love her short program. I think the
Mhm.
packaging is just perfect for her. I love her step sequence. It's probably one of my favorite of the season. She does these cute little like movements and little like boops and arm flourishes, and I liked her long program too, but I did see a comment online that I agreed with. They were saying it was kind of like watching someone like in a glass house. It just felt too pretty, and
Mm.
I don't know. The crowd didn't really respond to the long program the way that I thought they would, but she really held it together. And after falling on her opening combo, she was able to keep it together. And I think she just proved that USFS made the right choice. So good for her.
Yeah, I'm very proud of her. Because I mean, I totally expected Amber Glenn to either win or be on the podium. So
Yes.
going in, I kept thinking, oh, it's Amber. Amber's the one everyone's expecting to do great things and stuff. And actually, Amber did do pretty well. It's just that she had that big fall in the short program. So,
Yeah, and that's a good segue to our fifth place finisher, Amber Glenn. It was just heartbreaking to hear that she had fallen. I was on the airplane when the short program was going on, and Delta has Wi-Fi, so I was like, for some reason I couldn't connect, but I had my spouse get on, and I was like refreshing X or Twitter or whatever, looking at Jackie Wong's page, and I was like, oh no, she fell. So it was just kind of heartbreaking to see that, but I think Amber should be really proud as well. She's made so many leaps and bounds since previous seasons. I've seen her perform live a few times, and she always looked really nervy and disinterested. But I think this year she really found what works for her. And, she fell on a triple axel. It's such a hard jump, and she's one of the only ones doing it. So I think she deserves some grace, and I really hope that she is proud of herself as well.
yeah, yeah. Everyone loves her, and it is pretty brave to be willing to get out there and attempt a triple axel when nobody else is doing it now.
Yeah.
Also, I heard that her grandmother passed away recently, so that was
Yes.
some sort of mental stress that she had alluded to in one of her Instagram posts. And maybe she was also feeling depressed because of the plane crash, too, if she
Yes.
knew some of those people. Yeah.
Um, I believe her dog died too. I think.
Oh,
And so I'm like, can you imagine? It's just so many things in a row, and like, the fact that she made it here, like, good for her. So a fifth place finish is awesome.
yeah. She had lots and lots of fans. People were holding up flags and signs and,
Yes,
cheering for her. I think pretty much everyone still gave her a standing ovation, too. Yeah.
yes,
It's
very
been a
well
great
deserved.
season. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
done great. Grand Prix final champion. It's pretty amazing.
yeah,
Mm.
absolutely. And that takes us into another crowd pleaser in sixth place. We had Wakaba Higuchi of Japan. How did you think about her scoring here? What did you think of her performance?
Well, I mean, I wish she had placed higher because I kind of feel
Yes,
like she got lost in the shuffle because she skated earlier. But that was amazing because this is also sort of like Alyssa, where Wakaba had a big comeback season. Like for years, I thought she was done. because she just couldn't get out of Japanese nationals. It seemed like, I don't know if she got injured or what, but there were all these up and coming younger Japanese skaters that were getting the limelight while she was kind of forgotten over the last, I don't know, 3 years or so. So yeah, I mean, you just keep thinking like, I wish we could give out more medals because there were so many great skaters here. Yeah.
Oh,
So I do
I
feel like
totally agree.
she's undervalued. Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree. She kind of reminds me, she skates with that kind of bigness, for lack of a better word, that Cowrie has. And I really liked Wakaba's programs this year. I really liked her long program. It was a little different. There were like some creepy parts. I really need to figure out who did her costume because her and Amber Glenn's free program costumes, I saw them warming up at, I think it was Skate America together, and I couldn't tell them apart. I was like, who, wait, oh, she's got darker hair. That's Wakaba. But I'm just like, how are they so similar? But anyways, that's not that important. But so good to see her here. She's amazing.
Yeah, it was great. Thank you guys for being here. This is our first joint live stream, so
Yes, thank
really
you,
appreciate it.
everybody. Yes.
Yeah.
That takes us into the Ninas in seventh and eighth place. In seventh place, we have the Belgium Nina Pinzerone. Um, Judy, what did you think of her performance here?
Gosh, I'm sorry to say, but I don't really remember much about her. So I don't know. What did you think?
Yeah. Um, I really like her. I think she has a lot of really good qualities. She's super flexible. I think she really pours her all into it. And I think with the absence of Luna Hendricks here, it was sad to see her posters all over the arena. I'm like, she's not even here. I think she did a really great job. I can't remember. I think seventh place should get them possibly 2 spots for next year. I have to look into those rules for the Olympics. But just personally, I just don't like her program. That's all. It's just a personal taste. I think Benoit Ricard did it. I don't think she knew that it was a Handmaiden's Tale type of theme, so it fell a little flat for me. But I still think she's an amazing skater. I know that she'll need to clean up some of the endings. I think in her combos, she often gets an under rotation on the toe. So that'll be something that she'll need to work on to just get into that more upper echelon. But seventh place is amazing, so she should be very proud too.
Yeah, yeah. It's just such a competitive sport. So,
Yes.
okay.
And in eighth
Okay.
place, our European champion, Nina Petrokina. What did you think of her?
Oh, I I thought Gubanova was the champion, so she's not
No,
European.
Nina won this year. I think Gubanova maybe won in last year. But yeah, Nina
Oh,
won this
okay. Oh gosh, everything's kind of blurring into one.
I know.
Yeah.
For me
So
too.
I can't really remember anything striking about this skater,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So what are your thoughts on how she did?
I really enjoyed her performance. I mean, again, eighth place is nothing shabby, so she did really good here. She came back from an injury. I believe she broke her leg last year. So for her to come back and win Europeans and just do so great at Worlds, I think she should be very proud. She did repeat a solo triple flip, so I believe because there was no combo or anything, it was basically downgraded. Like she only got like 2 points for it. But she does a really nice double axel triple toe in the beginning, and I think she'll be one to look out for the Olympics. I think it'll be fun to see what she decides next year.
Yeah, that's great. Okay.
And then rounding out the top 10, we have the 2 Korean women. We have Haeun Lee in ninth place. She returned after a brief suspension. What did you think of her, Judy?
Just happy to see her again because I did read some of the rumors or the details of what she was alleged to have been done. And from what I heard, it sounded like she was in a consensual dating relationship with some skater who is, I don't know, like 3 or 4 years younger than she is. So
Yeah.
that's kind of weird, don't you think? To be like a
Yes.
14-year-old boy dating an 18-year-old girl. That's bizarre. But so apparently she had given him a hickey or something, and somebody noticed it or report. She didn't sexually assault anybody, as far as I
Yeah,
know. Yeah, she
yeah,
didn't. I mean, it wasn't anything bad, in my opinion, other than weird if she were
yes,
dating a 14 or 15-year-old boy.
yes.
So, so anyway, so I was glad that she got, she was allowed to compete again. And I've really enjoyed watching her at the 2023 Four Continents because I flew out to Colorado to watch the
Yes,
competition. And it was so exciting to see her and Yelim Kim both skating so beautifully. They had huge jumps, they had, the speed and everything. But,
yes,
I don't know what happened to Yelim Kim. I guess her skating skills just suddenly deteriorated or something. And
yeah,
then Hai Hin, I thought she did really well during her free skate, but once again, she skated earlier and, you know,
mhm.
other skaters skated a little bit better, but, I didn't see anything wrong with what she put out there. Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I agree. She definitely has, everything it takes. She has those big, big jumps. She did have a few under rotations in the long program, so I know that maybe held her back a bit. But I agree with everything you said. I think it was really good to see her back, and that leads us to 10th place, her compatriot Cheon Kim, who I thought was going to win. That was my prediction. I was 10
same
or 9
here.
spots off.
Yeah,
What
that
did you
was
think?
such a surprise. Yeah, because she won four continents. She's been on a uphill trajectory this whole
Yes.
season. So I was like, wow, I can't believe she only placed 10th, and she must be so depressed or crushed after that. So yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, she was I think she was 11th in the short program, so that just she got really buried there. But still she did a good job in the long program. My spouse was looked over and was like, "Yeah, that she's got everything." Like he really enjoyed her skating. And isn't a skating fan, so I thought that was interesting. But what I want, Judy, is this girl needs a break. She needs a vacation. I want KSF to get her a cruise, and she needs to eat whatever she wants. She looks tired. They really work their skaters really hard in Korea. They have so many like national competitions or intramural or
Yeah.
whatever it's called. I really think that that could be a little bit of burnout that we were seeing because she truly had all the momentum on her side. So um, definitely sad to see, but I'm glad she was still in top 10.
Oh, well, this is sad to hear. Thanks for telling us that Choi Hung revealed she was in a car accident right before
Ooh,
Worlds. Yeah. Well, she still skated pretty great though. Once again,
yes,
it's kind of like, wow, these people, they're skating wonderfully. They have lots of speed, they have great spins, but it's kind of almost like a crapshoot sometimes, like how people wind up. So,
yes.
but one thing is that sort of, I'm sorry, I muted myself. I kind of
Oh yeah.
feel like sometimes Chai Young does kind of have this like little girl look on the ice where everything is
Mhm.
like perfect and compact and she's doing her jumps, but it just looks a little bit little, like
Mm.
Satoko Miyahara, tiny little jumps, little quick rotations and eked out
Yeah.
jumps. And plus she always looks so unhappy out there. So that's what I remember about her the most is like even when she won a medal at four continents or some competition, she just looks so bummed out. So that
Well,
kind of affects me as a spectator. It's like, oh, I don't really like watching this person because they look depressed and unhappy out there.
yeah. Again, let's get her on a good vacation, maybe a month break. Come on, Korean Skating Federation, if you're listening, give her a month off. Okay, she'll remember the jumps. She'll get it all back. She just needs, a little time. And I just think she's probably tired because when I looked at everything she performed, and I'm like, this was just too much. And so, I really hope she'll make a good comeback and give us something good next year.
Yeah.
Um,
Okay.
that, that was the top 10, but Judy, I had a few personal standouts that were outside of the top 10
Mhm.
I wanted to mention. Um,
Sure. Who do you want to mention?
Yeah, well, one of them was Laura Naki Gutman. She's one of my personal favorites from Italy. I actually saw her get off of the bus outside of the practice arena, but I left her alone. I didn't like hoot and holler or try to take a picture. I just, okay, walked by. But her long program is just one of my favorite of the season. She kind of reminds me of the past. She reminds me of like a 90s skater, even the packaging, like the blue dress and the blue eyeshadow, and I don't know, she does some really creative movements on the ice. She's just beautiful to watch. So that was one personal favorite. And then this performer didn't have a great skate in the long program, but I really like Julia Sauter of Romania. And her story speaks to me because I think she was almost not even going to make it to Worlds. She had to do a GoFundMe, and while her skating quality or the elements maybe lacked, I really felt like I could feel her emotion. She kind of reminded me of like an Ashley Wagner, where I don't know, she just really gave me a lot of emotion while skating. So those were definitely two of them. And then another one, I didn't get to see her, but you said she got a standing ovation. Ekaterina Karakova, the Cats program. I'm so sad I missed it in person, but the cat ears were back, Judy. What did you think?
Well, you said you like the cat ears. I said I don't like it. It just looks too theatrical, and it's a real sport. So I think she's a little too old to be wearing cat ears on a headband to compete and be all cutesy and stuff. But that's a personal preference. But I did stand up, I did clap for her, and I stood up and gave her an ovation because I know she's been through so many struggles this whole season where, she just can't seem to climb up in the ranks anymore. And I thought once again she did great during the free skate. I think the judges might have dinged her on some of her landings, and she doesn't seem to do a triple lutz anymore, or maybe even a triple flip. I can't remember, but I think it's because of the lack of difficulty plus the potentially questionable landings that caused her to be low. But as a crowd favorite, people loved her. It was great music, the music from Cats that built up at the end, and her performance quality really made people stand up to cheer. So,
Absolutely. And I think she's the only woman doing a costume change this year. Like, I
oh,
need to
yeah,
bring costume changes back. Like, that's my personal favorite thing. And we
really?
rarely see them. So, yes, I like it because it's always a shock. I'm like, I always forget it's going to happen. And then, oh, yeah, costume change.
Oh, okay. Well, I
um,
mean, I think it's okay, but sometimes if it's done too often, it's kind of like, oh,
I
come
know.
on, get
I
off with the sport aspect.
Um, and then last thing I wanted to mention, Judy, and I know we're getting a little low on time, but three skaters I was surprised did not make it to the long program were Zhang Yian of China, Anastasia Gubanova. She got 28th in the short program. And then also Asen Yoon from South Korea did not make the free skate. So I think those really shocked me, especially Anastasia. She just had a disastrous short program. So I really hope she'll not be hard on herself and make a comeback next year.
Yeah, that was just so sad. She's like sitting there in a kiss and cry, burying her face and crying and stuff. I was like, wow, because everyone had high hopes for her too, but then she like messed up on every jump. And but she is a great skater when, most of the time I've really enjoyed watching her skate. And I don't know if you know about this, but I think there's some competition in Beijing, maybe in
Yes.
September, where
Mhm.
some of these countries still have hope of qualifying
Yes.
someone for the Olympics. So all is not lost yet.
Right. Yes, that'll be really fun to see. And I believe she's listed on World Team Trophy. I saw a thing this morning. I think the announcement is coming soon, if it or maybe it did. So I
Yeah.
think we may see her again. So that will be good.
Yeah, that's right. I saw that too. So I was like, wow. So all these like skaters, some of them who didn't place well at Worlds, and some of these skaters
Yes.
didn't even compete at Worlds, but they're still being invited to do World Team Trophy. So I can't wait to watch that. I heard it's still going to be televised on Peacock TV. So
Yes.
that'll be so exciting. Yeah.
Well, Judy, I want to
So,
be mindful of time. I know we still have the
okay.
men's. Should we
Sure.
carry on? All
Okay.
right.
Yeah. Go ahead. So, what did you think of Ilya?
Yeah, so I think that he's just so confident, he's carefree. We happened upon the practice rink. I didn't even realize it was the practice rink, and I was on the opposite side, like near the water. And I look in and I see Ilya jumping up in his shoes, just like doing a jump off ice. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's Ilya Malin. And I told my spouse, like, that's the world champion, by the way. But I just think that he's really confident. I think his jumps looked really good. And yeah, I really enjoyed watching him. I have no notes. How about you?
Yeah, I like this picture of him that you put on your graphic because it just shows how high he can fly. He's like so physically incredible compared to, like me, I can barely do a single axle off the ice, but to do 4.5 rotations, like what kind of
Yeah.
muscles and everything has to be so unique and just right to be able to land that type of jump. Wow. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's incredible. And so, can you imagine how happy his mom must have been? Because his mom was always kind of emotional when she was competing. Like you could see on her face when she was happy or excited and stuff. So, you know,
Well, and
yeah,
he just seems really supportive of the other skaters too. Like I read that he'll watch all the other performers in the practices. He'll stand there and just watch them and clap for them. And I just think I'm like, it's such a new, when I grew up, it was so competitive and cutthroat. I mean, I'm from when, Nancy Kerrigan got struck because her
yeah,
competitor was, they were whatever it was. But I just love to see the new kind of camaraderie in addition to elevating the difficulty. I think he's just, I thought Nathan Chen was a once in a lifetime, and then we followed up right away with Ilya. He should be so happy, and I read that he was very happy he maintained his title here.
yeah. He's just like a boy wonder. And I do recall reading an article where his training mate and friend, Sarah Everhart, said that Ilya was just such a good friend to people and to her
Yes.
too. So I was like, that's really nice because sometimes you would hear rumors of people being mean to each other or making snarky comments or stealing somebody's skates, at a competition, like people doing rude, underhanded things to each other. But it's so good to hear about these new generation of skaters where people are so kind to each other and supportive because
Yes.
they know they're all going through the same old grind together. They have similar goals. They're in this niche sport that a lot of people really don't care about, so they're
Yeah.
in it together, very supportive. Yeah.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, he did amazing. And in second place, we have Mikhail Shadarov of Kazakhstan. Judy, did this surprise you? Did you think he was going to podium? What are your thoughts?
Oh, yeah, I totally expected him to podium because this whole season I've been rooting for him, and I was kind of mad when I thought he was underscored at, was it Grand Prix France? It was one of those like Grand Prix competitions where he did some amazing jump combo. Now I can't remember what it was. It was probably like a triple quad or something. And and it was like people don't appreciate him. This is what happens when people are like doing such hard, difficult jumps. If they aren't well known, then
Yes.
sometimes the judges just don't reward them. And then suddenly their PCS goes up later once they become well known or blows somebody out the water or something. Yeah, so I was so happy for him. I did expect him to get on the podium, but I really thought that Yuma Kakiyama was probably going to get second. So
Right.
it was such a surprising, suspenseful event. Yeah.
Yeah.
So were you surprised too?
I actually thought he would get maybe fourth through fifth, so I definitely had him in top five. But yeah, I wasn't sure. I think he had a few performances where I was like, well, maybe not. But I believe he got a personal best here in the long and overall. So he did amazing. But I called it last year when I first kind of realized who he was. I saw his long program and I'm like, oh wow, because he skates with that same kind of bravado that Ilya has. He has such a big kind of open skating and also just his jumps, obviously, in addition to the tech content. I'm gonna give a very controversial opinion. I hope people don't get mad, but I personally kind of like his skating better than Ilya. I just sort of I don't know what it is. I sort of just am drawn into Mikhail a little bit more than Ilya. And I think with his rising tech content, I mean, he could be one to watch for. He could possibly provide some real competition for Ilya moving forward. But again, just so good to see another Kazakh skater make it so far, especially since Dennis 10 a number of years ago. It's just so nice to see another skater rise up from there. So really good to see here.
Yeah, and wasn't it so cute to see both of them hugging
Yes,
after, you know, after Ilya won? Yeah, so I thought it was going to be so awkward having the skater sit in the chair off to the
me
side of the
too.
kiss and cry, because it
Uh-huh.
could be embarrassing. Sometimes people are sad or get upset because they're getting knocked off the top of the chart, but ultimately it provided so many beautiful moments when people were good sportsmen.
Absolutely. And you mentioned him. That takes us to third place, our bronze medalist, Yuma Kageyama of Japan, getting 278 points here. Judy, what did you think of his competition here?
Boy, I'm getting worried about him because this whole season he's shown that he is not as consistent as he used to be. A couple of years ago, he just seemed to be getting better and better and so consistent with landing his jumps and stuff. But now I just wonder if he's, physically not as good now. Um, or it could be mental. I don't know what's going on, but the poor guy, it was just such a shock because I really expected him to be on the podium. Yeah.
Yeah,
So how did you
absolutely.
feel?
Yeah, no, I feel the same. To me, it looks like a confidence issue. He just really looked like almost like a deer in the headlights out there at some points. And again, I'm sorry to keep bringing this up, but people are saying it's because his dad is one of his coaches. He's also coached by Carolina Kostner, who is one of my favorite women skaters of all time. And I really think she's been working on helping bring out his performance quality. But when you're so nervous or scared, I feel like the performance just suffers as a result. Even if you've been working on it, I don't know. I feel like it just doesn't come through. And so I wouldn't say he's lucky to get third here, but I do think that fourth or fifth place, our Frenchmen, Adam Schauhim-Fa or Kevin Amos, could have, been that bronze place spot instead of him. So I think he did well enough here. And I don't know. I just hope he kind of regroups for next season and isn't too hard on himself. I also would like a non-black color costume. I'd like to see some
Yeah.
color, please.
Switch it up.
So,
Yeah.
yeah.
So I'm sorry, he did make it onto the podium, but that was just like what happened? He was like falling and messing up all over the place. And you
Yeah.
could just see how sad his father was looking in the kiss and cry before they saw that he still got a medal. So
Yeah.
I'm sure he's very grateful. Yeah.
And that takes us to our two Frenchmen. We have in fourth place Adam Xiao Himfa. He was ninth in the short program and third in the long program. What did you think of him here, Judy?
Yeah. Well, I didn't have high expectations because I know he broke his ankle and had
Yes.
surgery last summer or fall. So this whole past season, he hasn't been doing that great. And I mean, I broke my ankle trying to plant a double flip back in 2002 and tore ligaments, and it hurt like crap. It took forever to feel comfortable back on the ice again. So I don't know
Yeah.
how he managed to do it where he's back to doing quadruple and triple jumps again. So, um, I mean, one cool thing once again, getting to see live skating in person is the best because I could really
Yes.
see what an athlete he is. He had so much
Mhm.
height and hang time when he jumped up and rotated. It was incredible to see. But on TV, all you kind of see is like, oh, his jump landings aren't that good because it kind of looks like he just kind of lands with a thud and doesn't hold the landing or doesn't have good flow on his landings. But the height and distance that he gets on the jumps is really impressive. Yeah, so I'm happy for him. You know, at least he almost got a medal. So hopefully he
Yes.
heals up.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
agreed. And another person with a sorry, Judy.
oh, so one thing I wanted to mention is that, like, I didn't like that part when he just lay on the ice as part of his choreography. That was lame. It was like a easy way for him to relax and, you know, kind of take a breath and stuff. I mean, I don't want to see skate. That's not fair to other skaters who are constantly moving and jumping and spinning and doing footwork the whole time. So uh, just
Judy,
do not,
It goes with the Dune program. I have to fight back on this because he drank that blue
because he
water and he
awakes.
died.
Okay.
Yeah, he died. So he comes back to us, and he skates again. So
Yeah, but it's goofy. And also, I kind of feel like why why did these skaters like Adam and Ilya do those backflips now? Because I don't think they
yeah,
get points for that. It's very draining and dangerous, but you don't get points for it, right? Or
correct. And
very
but
few.
Adam,
Yeah.
you get none. And Adam was doing it last year when you actually got penalized. So
Oh yeah.
I don't know. To me, Adam is kind of, for lack of a better word, like a badass, like a bad A, because he's just I don't know. I feel like he skates because he loves it. I feel like he just does what he wants, and I kind of like a rebel. So I like him. I really enjoy him.
Yeah. So I'm glad he clawed his way back up again, just like last year, but maybe
Yes.
next season will be better. Yeah. So, oh, and Kevin, I was so
Kevin,
proud of
yeah.
Kevin. He held it together. He wasn't crying. You know, like he's so emotional that you always worry about him, like, oh no, how's his mental health? Because I've seen him crying so many times in the past. So, but I was happy that he was happy. You know, what you think of him?
No, I 100% agree. I think that, I just think he needs to ban Europeans from his whole repertoire. Like, no more Europeans for Kevin because he always does not very good there, or at least the past 2 seasons. Man, he made such a comeback. I looked at his chart like throughout the whole season. He's had so many ups and downs. He's been very inconsistent. I saw him live at Skate America when he jumped out of the kiss and cry and was jumping up and down and screaming and crying, and it's a lot, but it is fun to see, and especially because obviously he put so much into his skating. His coach, I think her name's Sylvia Fontana, she basically
Yes.
jumps and screams with him the whole performance. She's like jumping with every jump with him. So it is fun to watch, and I like him. He's a very charismatic skater. So
Yeah, I'm glad he did well. He just doesn't have the harder jumps to really
right.
make it onto the podium these days, but you know, he's beautiful to watch and so artistic and you know, he really cares about the choreography. Yeah.
Agreed. And that takes us to sixth place finisher Shun Sato of Japan. He actually won the Winterfest this year as well. What did you think about him, Judy?
Oh, those kind of underappreciated skaters because I'm just really impressed by him because he keeps trying the quad lutz and sometimes he lands it. And I also saw him back in 2023 at the Fort Continents when
Oh,
he won the silver medal to Cal Miura. And both of those skaters were so much light years ahead of their competitors because their speed was just amazing. Like just seeing them skating around the arena, zipping around and stuff, I was like, wow, these guys are just the best athletes. So I do feel bad that he's just kind of always stuck, you know, in this kind of whatever 4th to 8th place ish type of standing. Yeah, but I do have to say I don't really like this shirt, and I hope he never wears
Yes.
that style of shirt again. It looks so goofy. It looked like some Prince Charming Disney outfit. So that's just my catty remark. But he is a great athlete, especially when he lands the quadruplets. Yeah.
No,
What
I
do you,
agree on the costuming. He and Cal Murrah sometimes have kind of strange costumes where I'm like, I'm not sure that's the route you want to go. But I think with him being kind of inconsistent the second half of the season, I was pleasantly surprised. He got sixth place here. I know he did get bronze at Grand Prix final, and I believe this is his first Worlds appearance. So also wanted to ask, what you think about his chances for getting on the Olympic team for Japan. Like, do you think at this point he's a shoe-in, or do you think there may be some more competition rising up next year?
well, I mean, it's so competitive in Japan that just in one year, it could be like a total flip-flop where one person seems like they're going upwards, but then the next season suddenly they don't get out of nationals. So, but I do see him right now potentially still being one of the skaters chosen for the Olympics because Cal Miura really was on a downward trajectory, which is sad. And I thought he had hurt his thigh or something. He had some sort of slight injury this past season. And I don't think Sota Yamamoto is getting any better in terms of
Yeah,
his jumps. Like he just basically has maybe a quad toe on a good day, but he just doesn't have the athletic ability to really challenge skaters like Sean and Yuma, who can at least do what, like 2 or 3 types of quads, maybe 4
yes,
on a great day. But because Rio Nakata, who is the young teenager who got the silver medal at Japanese nationals, I don't think he's as competitive as Shun, just
mhm,
unless he gets another quad or two. But I also think he mostly can do a quad toe. But that could change, like he's
yeah,
young, he's probably training like crazy to try to get the harder quads now. Yeah.
yeah. It'll be very fun to see. And that takes us into our seventh place finisher of Korea, Junhwa Cha. He was my silver medalist going into this. I love his Balada para un Loco song program. I think he's got the best costume of the season. I believe he won the ISU award this week,
Yes.
so well
Yeah.
deserved. Oh my goodness, love him. But not consistent enough here to podium. What did you think?
Yeah, I mean, he really has to land all his jumps because usually at most he can do a quad salchow. So, yeah, but I was really rooting for him. I thought maybe he had a chance of getting maybe a bronze medal, but it's
Yeah,
hard when these top competitors are doing like Ilya doing 6 or 7 quad attempts versus June, who's
yeah,
doing maybe 2 quad salchow attempts. But
right.
um, yeah, I love his skating. He was another person I loved seeing in person because his speed is incredible when he does his triple axel, the quad salchow, the what does he usually do? A quad flip, triple loop or something. The distance and the height he gets on his jumps is just amazing, and you can really appreciate it in person. So, except I differ from you in that I thought his music for the free was horrible with that crazy lady, just like screeching in
I know.
Spanish, local, local.
It's so exaggerated. It is so much, but I don't care. This is what I want, Judy. I want big. I want over the top. This is ice skating, okay? So I'm okay with them taking it there. Take me to a tango. You can scream loco in my ear. I don't know, but I get what you mean. It is a lot. Oh,
Understand some
all right.
Spanish, but I still thought that song was horrible. I was like, who chose this crap? Like he's such a gorgeous skater. He has speed. He has
Yes.
elegance. He has that balletic style and poise and, pretty good spins and a beautiful costume. But that music was just like, please. I hate that music. you
Well,
know,
he's another
well,
one though. KSF needs to include him with Cheon on a vacation because I just think he's been performing and competing so much. It's like give these skaters a break, please. So I hope he regroups for next season. And I take it, Judy, you don't want him to repeat this program for the
that's
Olympics.
right. Anything but that horrible. That's got to be like in the running for one of the worst. Well, actually, that whole Shadarov music, that was pretty wacky too, but it still worked
That's
because the
true.
audience was still happy hearing Aha, that old
Yeah.
song from the 80s. Yeah, that was funny.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well,
Mhm.
that takes us to eighth place finisher, also doing the return to play protocol. He was the other skater with Isabeau Levito, who the U.S. used that protocol to determine he could come to Worlds. He skated to Tarzan in the short program and Spiegel in the long program. Oh, I know there's a lot to unpack here. I think that obviously they made the right choice because he did get eighth. And so I believe that that secured the three spots for the US for the Olympics. So that was good. He did his job here in that way. I saw him in the short program. Ooh, I mean, a triple Lutz double toe. I don't know. I know you had opinions on that too. It's just like, it's not enough, you know?
Yeah, I was like, what the triple Let's double toe? I can imagine all the Russian commentators snarking on him even more. But,
Yeah,
I was surprised. I mean, he still came in fourth place in the free skate because the judges love and appreciate the quality of what he does do. So I guess that's how these other skaters still need to learn how to play the system. It's like even if you don't have the hardest jumps, at least make sure your spins are fast and, you know,
right.
got all the rotations and the different positions and the difficult entry and entrance, exits out of your spins and jumps, and the quality has to be there. So so I have to sort of apologize to Jason because at first I was like, man, they should have sent Camden Pulkinen. You know,
Uh,
Camden deserved to be out worlds and stuff, but Jason still did his job, and
he did.
he's a real pro and he's dependable. So
No, I agree, and he's such a contrast to our next finisher, ninth place, Nika Agatse of Georgia. So I saw him practicing as well in the practice rink, and Ateri was right on the sidelines. Um, he did really good here. He actually got a personal best in the long program and overall. So he placed a lot higher than he has. But yeah, what did you think of Nika here?
oh, I'm sorry. I this is one of the skaters where I just kind of gloss it over, probably because I have such a negative view of his coach,
Yeah,
So it's kind of like weird still seeing a Terry sitting there in the
I
Kids and Pride
know.
because he doesn't skate for Russia. So um
Yes.
yeah, so I don't really remember much about him. I'm sorry. Yeah.
No, that's quite all right. Yeah, there wasn't too much to say. One thing though that he needs to work on is his levels because he only gets level threes on a lot of his spins and his step sequence. So to me, he's such a contrast to a Jason Brown, where it's like Nika has the harder difficulty, but I don't know that he's putting all the work he needs to in the other components. So yeah, just someone kind of there, but that takes us to 10th place. From Italy, we have Nikolai Memola. Judy, does he have a good Lutz takeoff? What do you think of his quad Lutz?
I like that. I mean, I haven't thoroughly examined it, but he's another one of those younger, up and coming skaters that I really like watching because I'm like, wow, he's like 6'4", and he's still willing to attempt all these quads and his triple axels. I mean, I don't even know how he gets figure skates and blades that are big enough for
Yeah,
his feet. but somehow he got them. Yeah, so I feel like he's underappreciated, and maybe this fall will be his big breakout season because it does look like Rizzo and Grassel aren't as consistent, and they're not getting much better. Whereas Nikolai, he does have some sort of like balletic style to him, and sometimes he reminds me of a taller version of Adam Rippon. So,
Hmm.
but
Yeah,
I like his skating, and he's so exciting to watch. So I kind of wish that he had placed higher at Worlds.
yeah. I agree. I think he has like everything he needs. It is so fun to see someone like you said, so tall, just doing like the hardest jumps. When he does his Lutz takeoff, it reminds me of a A380 Airbus plane taking off. Like it's just crazy. Like it's so amazing that he can get up so high and complete the four rotations. And I really like his entry into the Lutz. I just think it's really nice. What do you think his chances are of the Olympics with Matteo Rizzo and Daniel Grassel? Do you think Nikolai is probably the front runner?
Yeah, I like him so much better than the two other guys. Like Rizzo, I mean, he just it was never anything that I really got excited to watch. Like Rizzo seemed kind of stiff, and Grassel, when I saw him at Worlds, I could really see how bad his free leg wrap is on most of his jumps because during the warm up, he just looked so sloppy out there. Just his
Yeah,
whole carriage and the jump technique and everything. Everything looked so sloppy. And I also have to say that part of that music where the woman starts singing during Grassel's free skate, I started laughing. I was like, this sounds so awful.
yeah.
It sounds so ridiculous, that music. Yeah. So should we go on?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that was our top 10. That was the men's. If it's okay, Judy, I just wanted to mention a few personal standouts who were beyond the top 10.
Sure.
Um, the first one that my spouse was really enjoyed, not being a skating fan, was Dennis Vasiliev's in 11th. He's just so charismatic, and I think he falls on the ice at the end as well. I don't know if that's like a trend this year or something, but he did really well here. And I think his coach is Shoma Uno's old coach.
Yeah,
Um,
Stefan Flampiel. Mhm.
yeah. So just really fun to see him here. Another person who really stuck out was Adam Hagara from Slovakia. I had never really noticed him before, but I really enjoyed his short program. I think it's to a Tom Odell song. And yeah, I just thought he was really good. He's just someone who kind of stuck out. Um, and the last one was Dai Wei Dai of China. I really enjoyed his short program. Kind of felt almost like an 80s type of vibe or something. And I know he actually won the Asian Trophy in 2023. So I think he was second this year. So just kind of an interesting skater. I'll be interested to see what he does next year as well.
Yeah, I totally agree with Dennis Vasilchevs, or however you pronounce his last name. He was one of the standouts, and I also gave him a standing ovation. So did lots of people in
Nice.
the arena because, like he really hasn't had a consistent quad jump since this season. So it's impressive that he's now become one of the sort of older skaters, but he finally can land quads. So it's like he suddenly becomes more of a complete. Sorry, I just knocked my bottle of water on the floor.
Oh no.
Yeah, he's become more of a complete skater because he was always great with the spins, the footwork, the presentation, and stuff. So it was so exciting to see him. And he is one of the taller skaters, not as tall as Nikolai, but it's
Yeah.
pretty cool to see such a big guy out there, jumping around and doing all this stuff with emotion and flair. So he always seems so excited to be out there. He wants to please the crowd, and so that's why I gave him a standing ovation. So
Very
yeah,
nice.
he was
So
great.
yeah. So I think there's just one more slide. I think I threw in a little bonus question here.
Okay, Yes.
Judy, what was your best moment of worlds between the men's and women's events? And it could be more than one.
Just too many. There are too many best
No.
moments. I would I would probably say the best moments were the hugs we saw between the
Yeah.
competitors. That was such a surprise. Like Alyssa hugging Kauri, and they shared some words, and Ilya and Mikhail Shidorov hugging, and I was like, oh, I didn't, because you don't know like what kind of relationship these skaters have behind the scenes, or can they
Right.
even talk to each other? I guess Mikhail and Ilya can speak in Russian to each other. So
Yeah.
it was so touching. It's like this is why we have world championships, to bring people from different countries together, and to have good sportsmanship all around. It's not just about landing your jumps and trying to beat people. So it,
Yeah.
it just was such a beautiful feeling to see those hugs between the top competitors.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What was your best moment or moments?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I also just think having three of the four disciplines being won by Americans, especially out of
Mhm.
home worlds, I think that really meant a lot. And it was fun to see Alyssa and Elia doing an interview together afterwards. A USFS posted a really cute picture of them from like 2018, where they both
Yeah.
won at, I can't remember what competition it was, but they were both so little and they both won at those events. And to see them this many years later winning again together, I just think that was really nice. And
Yeah.
I really liked the Dune program of Smart and Deke. I really love that Dune program. Seeing it live was really fun in ice dance. So that would be another favorite of mine.
Yeah, that's
So
great. Did you stay and watch all the medal ceremonies?
no, we didn't. I think I mainly watched the women's and then ice dance. We did not stay for that one. Did you?
Yeah, well, I didn't have tickets for ice dancing, but I stayed for the men's and women's medal
Mhm.
ceremonies. So, it's just so wonderful. And what was cool was that most of the audience stayed for the medal ceremonies too. So,
Nice.
it made the whole thing even more exciting, because people are always talking about how figure skating is declining in popularity, and Stars on Ice hardly has any stops now. There's no champions on ice and all these pro cheese fests that we used to have. But,
Yeah.
it was really heartening to see that so many people came out for the world championships. That's incredible. Yeah.
Agreed, agreed. And just to add on to your comment, that's why I made this channel is I just want to help grow figure skating. The more channels we have, the better. I just think it's such a great sport and I want to convince people it's the best, the best sport in the world. So Judy, I really appreciate your time today. This was a dream come true having you be my first guest and just doing this together with you. I'm a huge fan and I hope everyone checks out your AA Legal Focus channel as well if they're
Thank you.
interested in that. It's just such an amazing thing, and so glad I got to meet you. It's been such a pleasure.
Yeah, it's been great meeting you too. So let me know in the future if you want to do like a world team trophy recap or something like
Yeah,
that. So it'll be fun. Yeah.
I would love to. I'm
Thank you.
sorry we were so over, but again, thank you for your
Oh,
time.
yeah.
Thank you for everyone who watched today, and I hope you have a great rest of your day, you guys.
Have a good weekend. Take
All right,
care.
over and out. Bye bye.